directed by Greta Gerwig, written by Greta Gerwig, and adapted from the novel by Louisa May Alcott. The story, set in the late 1800s, revolves around the March family, primarily 4 sisters who each have to determine as they grow up what matters most to them: love and marriage, career, etc. And it is basically a slice of life story as we see each of the sisters grow up and go in their own separate directions and what that means to the family as a whole. The film was directed by Greta Gerwig, who just released Lady Bird a couple of years ago. That film made a huge splash on the awards scene because it was just a very intimate story about a young girl, also played by Saoirse Ronan, who's in this film as well, who is rebelling against her small town and her family and all the things that were expected of her as a young woman in today's society and what she wants out of her life, or what she thinks she wants out of her life. Explored the relationship between a mother and a daughter, and that was just a very unique thing to explore, and it was done so intimately. You really felt connected to the characters in a really dramatic way. You felt the love on screen even as they were arguing. And the thing that's great about Greta Gerwig is she was able to get the same energy in Little Women, but instead of it being a mother-daughter relationship, it's a number of relationships. It's all the different sisters and all their different temperaments and desires and needs, but also their mother, who is balancing what she's trying to do, which is get the family through these different hardships that come up over time. The amount of emotion on screen was pretty incredible, and all the highs and all the lows. It was a very emotional film, and you really felt the love between all these characters, even in the tensest moments.
I want to be an artist in Rome and be the best painter in the world.
That's what you want too, isn't it, Joe, to be a famous writer?
Yes, but it sounds so crass when she says it.
My girls have a way of getting into mischief.
Well, so do I. This is Meg, Amy, Beth, and Joe.
I intend to make my own way in the world.
No one makes their own way, least of all a woman. You'll need to marry well.
But you are not married, aren't you?
Well, that's because I'm rich.
So the first thing I want to talk about is the performances. I think the performances in this film are just spectacular. I think the casting of the film really paid dividends. Emma Watson as the oldest March daughter really has this older sister vibe. You know, she's constantly scolding her other sisters to behave or to act ladylike, or all the things you would expect. Saoirse Ronan does a tremendous job as Jo March, who is this firebrand wanting to go out into the world and conquer it and take the bull by the horns and become a novelist and a successful writer and make her own way in a world that doesn't want women to do that. Again, this one seems like a layup. I mean, Saoirse Ronan played a very similar character in Lady Bird. Even though it wasn't a huge departure from Lady Bird, it really did have much more depth of emotion, I think, mainly because she just has so much more range as a character. I mean, Lady Bird was kind of this down and sort of depressed character who got angry, whereas Jo gets angry, but she also has a lot of vulnerability and a lot of love and a lot of passion. She just is a very well-rounded character. She feels way more human than Lady Bird did. It was a really great opportunity for Saoirse Ronan to stretch her acting muscles in a lot of different directions, and she just kills it. Florence Pugh, who played Amy March, did a really, really great job as well. She has a very interesting role in that she plays a very young version of her character, and then a much more, I don't want to say older, but a more worldly version of her character. I think Florence Pugh does an incredible job of portraying both of these very different aspects of the same character. Eliza Scanton plays Beth March. She has the job of playing this very shy, very quiet, very, giving, loving character. She does an incredible job playing that character, but the thing about that kind of character is that there isn't a whole lot of range. I think with what she had in the script, Eliza Scanton did a tremendous job as Beth. Shout outs to Laura Dern in this movie. She plays a really good matriarch. She's the mother of these 4 girls trying to hold down the fort while their father is gone off to war. She only has a couple of really dramatic scenes where she has a chance of sharing more internal thoughts and struggles and what have you. But she does such a good job, Laura Dern, of sharing this depth of feeling with the audience and with the other characters on screen that it feels like she has a much bigger role in the movie than she actually does. And that's just an incredible thing to watch.
You remind me of myself.
But you're never angry.
I'm angry nearly every day of my life.
You are?
I'm not patient by nature. But with nearly 40 years of effort, I'm learning to not let it get the better of me.
I believe the book is pretty linear in terms of how it tells its story. It starts at the beginning, it moves forward in time. But this version of the film that Greta Gerwig decided to go with, there's a lot of intercutting between future events and then past events. I think the choice to split the story up into two was good because it allowed us to meet our characters and get to know our characters in a really dynamic way. And for anybody who's seen the other movie adaptations or read the book, you can't just do a strict retelling of it because there's no there. There's no particular reason to do it again, right? Because you need to have a reason for wanting to redo it. And I think Greta Gerwig's reasoning was to really highlight and underscore these relationship dynamics of these female characters. And my God, it works so well. Like, I just can't believe how well it works. I think it was such a smart thing to do. And it takes an incredibly careful and deft hand at the wheel to pull it off. And it was pulled off tremendously. I think this film is, just so smart in the way it's structured its story. In terms of technical stuff, the camera work was really solid. The thing that stuck out to me most in this film was just some really great close-ups. There's just so many really great close-ups of people, beautiful shots of eyes looking and things like that. And there's some really great compositions, just absolutely beautiful. Really great compositions that are very complicated because there's a lot of scenes with multiple characters. Having multiple characters running around, moving around in frame, interacting and then running and interacting somewhere else and following them. I feel like the film was kind of mostly filmed at sort of roughly eye level, filming everything in these distances and in this way that makes it feel like we're sitting there, we're standing in the room and we're watching what's going on. It makes it all feel so much more real and personal. It was just a really powerful choice. It's an incredibly understated choice. Like, it's a very simple, basic thing to do, but it was exactly what this film needed. And so it's so smart. Lighting was interesting in this film as well because it's in the late 1800s. There's no electric lights at all. So basically it's natural sunlight for a lot of scenes, or it's candlelight or like fireplace light. Beautiful sun-drenched outside shots versus these really moody interior shots of light filtering through curtains. Just a lot of really beautiful lighting choices, camera choices. Just technically, the film wasn't flashy, but it was very, very well done. And I just appreciate the craft that went into it. The music was great in this movie. I really liked the music in this film because it felt not period accurate. It didn't feel like correct for the time frame of the movie, but it felt perfect for the emotions of the film. Everything about the film was just done as well as it could possibly be done. From changing the way the story was told to get a different feeling out of it for a current day audience. That's the hardest part, and it was nailed beyond belief. Beautiful camera work that's understated but very, very cleanly done. Same with the lighting, same with the music, understated but beautiful and really well done. Great performances, incredible casting. Just like, you can't ask for more than that. So with that all being said, I'm going to give the only rating I could possibly give to this movie, which is a 10 out of 10. This movie is so good. Like, I'm going to have to watch this one a couple more times at least. Guys, you have to go see this one. Whether you see it in theaters or you rent it or whatever, this movie is just, it's so good. And if you're somebody who, has siblings, this is going to hit you a lot harder than it might otherwise. But it's such a good film. I can't recommend it enough. That's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you guys so much for watching my video review of Little Women. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to do all that standard YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe. I'm a new channel getting going, so every little bit helps a ton. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next time.